Well, I've come to Fort Morris to learn about its Revolutionary War history. This is a Georgia State Park, so let's go inside and see what we can learn. After you pay the entrance fee at the Visitor Center, they will start the visitor film for you. This is a very good film, and you should watch it before you head out to see the fort. Fort Morris was built in 1776 to defend the town of Sunbury, Georgia. This was a major seaport at one time. All right, let's go into Fort Morris and see what we can see. As you can see, this fort had a moat or ditch in front of it. Okay, here's the other side of the ditch where you can see it drops down right in front of the wall. So soldiers have to attack the fort by going down in the ditch and up the wall. This was an earth and wood fort. So of course, over the years, it has decayed down. They have a marker here about more than meets the eye. Let's go walk around this earth fort. Now, they had about 200 defenders here during the American Revolution to protect the town of Sunbury, Georgia. Then they used this fort again during the War of 1812, but it saw no action during that war. Now, one thing to remember when you come to forts like this, don't climb on the walls, because they destroy the walls. On November 25th, 1778, the British arrived at Fort Morris and threatened the fort. They sent a message to the Americans to surrender, but the defiant Colonel John McIntosh replied to the British, "Come and take it." The British didn't try. They just retreated. Then, 45 days later, they returned with a much larger force, and on January 9th, 1779, Fort Morris fell after a short but heavy bombardment. Now, this is unusual here. On this side of the fort, the moat then has another mound in front of it. That's quite unusual. And then the moat travels down a path here to the marsh where they could have filled it. Okay, now I'm hiking the trail around the fort. And this sloped hill, this is where the moat went to the marsh, according to the rangers I just met. And it would have come, the moat would have come around the side of the fort down here, and then into the marsh where they could get water. Okay, continuing our trail around the fort. All right, and you can see there is a slope from this side that goes up, and you can hardly see the wall or the moat. Okay, now we're on the side that looks at the river. And you can see once again there is a slope hill that runs up to where the fort walls is. So the moat cannot be seen from here. Now if I turn around, now you can see the sound out here. St. Catherine's Sound. All right, behind me you can see St. Catherine's Sound. And this is where, when ships were coming into Sunbury, they would stop and be checked for quarantining. This is not unusual for ports of this time, and this fort could have been used to ensure that they stopped to be quarantined, but it doesn't say so in the material they gave me. Now behind me you can see that they have a sloped earth mound that they have built between where I'm standing near the river going up to the fort, and then there's the ditch or the moat, and behind that are the walls of the fort. Now this is particularly useful if someone's firing cannonballs at a fort, that they might be lodge the cannonballs in this slope rather than the walls of your fort, making your fort walls even more protective. I love this sign, "Do not enter, alligators might be present." This is the northeast corner of the fort. And from here, there's a low spot in the hills around the outside of the fort. And you can see how the moat goes around the inside and the hill is on the outside of the fort. Now I'm on the north side of the fort. And this time they've got their trail running up, halfway up the hill. So you can clearly see the outside of the fort and the moat in front of it, giving you a good picture of this defensive structure. Now I can turn behind me and you can see it slopes down to their nature trail. So this whole mound area here is not natural. This would have taken a lot to build. Now I'm standing on the northwest corner of the fort, and if you notice, there's no more slope up to the fort. You can see the moat that goes around it, and then you can see that sloped hill going up to the fort. Now the slope does naturally go down here, but behind the fort here there is no slope. It's just a flat field. Now I've just passed the northwest corner of the fort, and this is the view from the west of the fort. At the Visitors Center, they have a very nice little museum with lots of information about Sunbury and Fort Morris. So it's well worth the time to look around the museum. Well, I hope you've enjoyed our visit to Fort Morris. So until next time, see ya.